Hey there, everybody. This is Ryan Jose, the owner and founder of Volpine Marketing, and welcome to the online marketing course for spring 2021. This course is put on in conjunction with the Idaho Innovation Center, the Greater Idaho Falls Chamber of Commerce, the Small Business Development Center, and of course, Andex and the team here that's helping this broadcast right now, and my own company, Volpine Marketing. Frosty, are you going to be kind of doing anything that you'd like to kind of say here as before we get started, or would you like me to just hop right in?
I just wanted to say thank you, Ryan, for doing this. You've been an asset to the Small Business Development Center. We've used you and you have exceeded our expectations. And I'm excited to have you teach this class, and we welcome you and anybody that's joining us now that I'm trying to keep up with admitting everybody here. So take it away.
Well, thank you so much, Frosty. It really has been an absolute pleasure to be have the chance to be able to kind of come together and be able to put together this course to be able to help small business and small business owners be able to understand how to utilize and leverage online marketing strategies to be able to help them as they're trying to grow their business. During this course, I'm hoping that everyone can walk away with a better understanding of what they can be doing to truly help themselves be able to grow and be able to just get themselves online and be able to achieve greater visibility and greater brand awareness through the various strategies that we're going to be talking about. So let's go ahead and let's hop in. Once again, my name is Ryan Jose. I'm the owner and founder of Volpine Marketing, born and raised right here in beautiful, tropical Idaho Falls, Idaho. I absolutely love the area. We moved away for several years, and when it came time for me to open up my company, there's nowhere else that I wanted to be than right here. Let's see, Alan, can you start the timer thing for me so I can kind of know where we are as far as time goes? Oh, Haley. Just kidding. You're good. Once again, I would like to thank the Andex team here at the West Bank. They are an incredible asset to our community. They have been doing some incredible work, really helping increase the production value and the production process of a lot of things that we've been doing at the Idaho Innovation Center and the Small Business Development Center. So they are doing absolutely awesome. So thank you, Haley, for getting that rolling for me. This picture here is, let's see, I have myself over here. I am there at Jenny's Canyon there in Snow Canyon there in St. George. It's an absolutely beautiful area, and then that's my family over there. My wife and I have been married for several years, and we have 3 little boys, all under the age of 5. So story time, a little bit more about me. You kind of know that I'm the owner of the company. Now I'm going to take you back all the way, to 2012, right? And Indianapolis. And I went and I sold pest control there. And what really happened was I just sweat a lot. That's really what happened a lot more. Obviously, I was out in the steps, knocking doors, trying to make sales, trying to do all those things, but there was a lot more sweating. We had a really, really good summer, and it was really, really valuable experience. But when it comes right down to it, man, it was hard. Selling stuff door to door really is a significant challenge because people don't want you there. They didn't invite you to come and knock on their door. They didn't wake up that morning and think, you know what I hope happens today? Some guy comes and knocks on my door and sells me pest control. That's not a thing. That doesn't happen. And so it was kind of a difficult thing. So one day, I was just done. I was tired. Had the door slammed in my face. People were kind of rough on you every now and then, and it was just kind of part of the process. So I found and sought refuge there in a local McDonald's where there was air conditioning and Wi-Fi. And while I was there, I was just like, man, it's just so frustrating to me that even though we have a really good product and a really good service, people aren't inviting me to them, right? I'm interrupting their day, and I hate that part of the sales process. I don't like being places that I'm not invited to. So what I decided to do was I was going to throw up an ad up on Craigslist, right? Back then, I think Craigslist was significantly more relevant than it is now. I'm going to be honest. I think it's really kind of been taken over pretty greatly by Facebook Marketplace. But back then, if anybody was selling anything, that was kind of a great place to be looking. So I added just a little advert on there that was like, hey, if you want pest control, give me a call. Here's my phone number. Here's all the information you need to be able to make the decision for yourself before you even call me if you're interested or not. And it was fantastic. The crazy thing is that it worked, right? It worked. I was over in the south end of Indianapolis, and I would get sales up in the north. And my teammates and stuff like that were just like, how did you do this? How are you getting these sales in these different areas that you're not even in? And of course, this was kind of the ace up my sleeve. I wasn't about to share the secret, but it was just crazy because it worked. And I loved it, right? It was great because people were calling me. They were already interested. They just needed information on how to get started. And that was pretty much it. Way, way better. Years later, I'm working for a small company, and we sell products online. And I go and I attend this conference, and at this conference, they talk about SEO and inbound marketing in general. And inbound marketing is like people are finding you, they're reaching out to you, and that was exactly what I wanted, right? That was what I wanted when I was in Indianapolis selling pest controls. I wanted people calling me instead of me interrupting their day. So when I heard about this, I was like, this is it. This is awesome. This is like what I did on Craigslist, even though it wasn't necessarily really the case. But few people really get to have like these life-changing moments of their life documented, but I do. In this picture here, this is me attending a conference, not virtually, but in person, because we used to do that back in the day, meeting big groups and stuff like that, and we hopefully will again someday soon. But here's me, I'm sitting in this conference, and I'm learning about these things, and literally this is a picture where I can say my life changed fairly significantly. I learned about inbound marketing, and I was like, this is it for me. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like something inside of me just absolutely came alive. And here I am, several years later, doing exactly that, right? So here's kind of a bigger shot there of the conference. You can see it's not too huge, but really kind of a similar setup to what we're doing right now, where we're going to be talking about all these different aspects of digital marketing. And here we are. Volpine Marketing. After years of working in a digital marketing agency, actually the gentleman who was speaking in that last photo that I was listening to, that was my boss. His name is Mike Ramsey. He's a fantastic guy, person that I really consider a mentor to me. I worked at the agency. I learned everything that I needed to be able to go out on my own and start my own. Eventually, of course, I wanted to move my family back here to the Idaho Falls area that I love so much. Wanted to be closer to my family, and I did so. Here we are today. We do all sorts of things. We do digital marketing as far as helping people get found using Facebook. We help them get found in Google. We create beautiful websites. We've also done, here's a lot of the logo designs and different things like that we did during 2020. And some of these projects turned out just fantastically. And I absolutely love what I do. But, enough about me. I really do want to give members of the group time to kind of just introduce themselves. I'd love to have a chance to be able to get to know them, if that's okay, Haley. So can we turn that over to at least a handful of our attendees here? I'd love to kind of see who we have in the group. All right. Good to see everybody here. Let's see. I'm not sure who's going to be able to. Hey there, Lloyd. How are you? Who's going to be able to participate? But I'd absolutely love to hear from some of you. So could I have at least people who are willing? I'd love to hear from you. Lloyd, would you mind unmuting yourself and telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, hi there. My name's Lloyd Rich, and I'm the one of the owners of Let's Get Roasted Coffee Company. And we're a startup company in Idaho Falls, and here we are to learn.
Good to have you. Let's Get Roasted. Let's see. Are you guys still at the Idaho Innovation Center, or have you guys officially moved?
We are.
Okay.
Idaho Innovation Center. We just started there a few months ago, and so you'll be seeing more of us at these meetings and around town, if you will. So
that's awesome. Well, thank you
for taking time to put this together for us.
Hey, you got it, Lloyd. My absolute pleasure. Let's see. Tanyan, would you mind?
I'm Tanyan Wall. I am a realtor for Coldwell Banker Tomlinson, and I've been doing real estate for 8 years. I'm an Idaho native. I'm originally from Pocatello, so Idaho Falls is better, but
glad we could get that out of the way fast. Awesome. Thank you, Tanyan. Let's see. Jana, are you there? Would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, I was like, well, Ryan knows who I am.
I sure do.
Yeah. So my name's Jana, and I'm the judo coach. I'm actually right next door to Let's Get Roasted, and I've been involved in the sport of judo for 30 years, and the pandemic has kind of forced me to want to start a marketing an online way of doing judo that I came up with a couple decades ago, and so I'm really excited for this class. I have it like posted up on my refrigerator. I'm so excited for this class to start.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you there, Jana. She's awesome. She's also one of my neighbors over there at the Idaho Innovation Center. That's where I have my office. Let's see. Steve, are you there with us? I see a webcam that's on, but I haven't seen any people in front of that one, so I'm not sure if we have people there. Let's see. I'll go ahead and move on. Susan, are you able to at least let us hear your voice, and you can chat about yourself just briefly?
Certainly. I'm Susan Stuckey. My passion is creating systems to enrich and enhance the lives of women. And I'm going to start a new facet of my business. I've been involved in image related products and systems, have a patent on an image tool. And now there's going to be a little subsidiary of my business with online marketing to women. Mm-hmm. So thanks, Ryan.
Hey, you got it. Thank you for being here. Always appreciate it. Let's see, Haley Price. She's over here at Andex. If she'd like to introduce herself, we'd love that. If not, that's okay too. All right, let's see here. Tanner, I see you're here joining us via phone. If you're there with us, would you mind introducing yourself just briefly? No worries. Let's see here. Let's go on to Zoe. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, so I am actually an esthetician with Lash and Body Lounge, and so I am just here to kind of learn more about marketing and just kind of help out the business.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Well, we're glad to have you. My good friend Tyler Price's daughter, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see here. Angel, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, my name's Angel. I'm just a personal trainer, and I'm just trying to learn more about the online marketing business so I can further my career and open up a gym eventually.
Just a personal trainer? That sounds awesome. What are you talking about, just a personal trainer?
For now. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, good to have you.
Thank you for being here.
Let's see, Maria.
Hi, I'm actually launching a platform for the Hispanic community. It's going to be online marketing. And so, of course, I'm going to learn everything that you can teach us. So I'm very, very excited to be here. It's called Connect.
Mm-hmm. Well, good to have you. Let's see here. Lisa, would you be able to introduce yourself? Lisa told me that she has all of her children there, so who knows? She may or may not be able to. There you go. Can't hear you. There you go.
Yeah, I didn't want to talk over you. I'm Ryan's wife, but I'm also Volpine's accountant.
That's right.
So I'm just tuning in with you.
Cool. Thank you so much. Let's see here. You know what? Frosty, I'd love to hear from you.
I'm a business consultant with the Small Business Development Center, and next month I will have been here 13 years.
Okay, just a little bit, huh?
So, and always enjoy learning, and I'm looking forward to this class, Ryan. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, Frosty has I don't even know what to say, the tightest eye, the best eye for looking over and finding little things that can be improved. That's what Frosty really, really does there. Let's see, Tracy, you are here with us under the guise of Brian Magleby. Are you in a spot that you could introduce yourself?
She just hollered for me to tell you she has no audio.
Okay.
But she is often Brian's stunt double and does a good job.
That's right. She does do a good job. Tracy's over there at the Idaho Innovation Center as well. Incredible person. Really, really enjoy working with her there. So Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll go ahead and go back to the presentation. So, I gave you guys a brief chance to just introduce yourselves. And so this next section, we're going to be actually hopping into trying to nail your marketing message, right? Oh, my apologies. First things first, there is a private Facebook group that you guys can join. In fact, I'd appreciate it if you did. Here's this QR code here on your screen. If you can pull out your phone, you should be able to pull it up and get a direct link to it. If not, we'll also try to email this link out to you so that you can join the Facebook group. In this Facebook group, I am going to be trying to have like additional material and stuff like that to kind of complement a lot of the main course material that we're going to be covering here. It's also a platform for you guys to hop in and be able to answer or ask whatever questions you have. You have direct access to me through that Facebook group. And I'll do my best to answer your questions. And I really, if you guys have a particular question, chances are there are other members of the group that also have that question. So please, if you wouldn't mind being public about that, I would love to hear what questions you guys have so that we can kind of help address those for more people who may be listening. So thanks for that. But chapter 1 is nailing your messaging. And this is important, right? And I think that a lot of people, when they think of like nailing your marketing messaging, they could have the idea of like, well, what does this really have to do with online marketing? Like this is more kind of just a general marketing thing. That's not really what I came to this course for. I want you to hop into the websites and let's get technical. All those things will come and will be covered in this course, but this is an important aspect because if you're not nailing your marketing message like out in the wild, in public, face-to-face, when you have a chance to be able to do an elevator pitch, digitally, you're probably going to have even less chance if you don't have that nailed down, right? The attention span of the user is decreasing pretty significantly, and the way that information is shared across all these different channels is so rapid. So you need to nail your marketing message, and you have to have that very clear and be able to communicate it very quickly. That's important. So chapter 1 is nailing your marketing message. So, obviously I gave everyone the chance to kind of introduce themselves, but I'm going to talk about some of the mistakes that I see when people are talking about themselves, when they're talking about their business, when they're talking about, whatever it is that they do. There's some kind of faux pas that I see that if corrected, I think could have a pretty dramatic impact in the way that you come across, the way that your business is received. So I hope this doesn't make everybody self-conscious, the fact that I just gave everyone the chance to kind of introduce themselves, and now I'm going to be introducing these principles on how to talk about yourself. But here's what I see all too often. A lot of you guys might know this guy, but it says, "Hi, I'm Toby. I'm an accountant." In the show, he's HR, but I'm going to say he's an accountant, and I do taxes. Thank you. Sit down, right? If you've ever attended a marketing event, like this is super common that people will just get up and do something like this, and that's okay. But the thing is, like, what Toby does is significantly more interesting, right? I'm an accountant, I do taxes. That is the most boring way that you could possibly say that, right? So that's super boring, right? Nobody wants to hear that. And I'm not saying that accountants aren't valuable, and I'm not saying that boring people aren't valuable, but I'm saying that there are way better ways to talk about what you're doing, even if you think it's just an accountant, just a personal trainer, just a whatever it is, right? There are things that you do that are awesome, and we're going to talk about that. So, an exercise. Here's a chance for you guys to actually kind of be engaged and do something, right? What I want you to do, and I literally want you to write it down or type it out or some kind of way, I want you to list what you do. I want you to list what you provide people. So go ahead and take just a couple of minutes and do that. Oh, you guys are awesome. Got the background music? Man, solid. Sorry, I should have told you beforehand we were going to be doing this, but in these kind of exercises and these kind of practices, we are going to be putting information into the Facebook group about these things, and just reminders to do them because they are super important. Coming here and listening to me is fantastic, but I feel like you're really going to get a lot more value out of this if you really take the time to kind of go through and do these exercises. Now, when you talk about like, you know, what you provide, right? What is it that we're doing? What services am I offering these people? What products am I offering? Try to be as exhaustive as you can. You know, for me, I'll just kind of go through my personal example. Like, we're a digital marketing agency, so we create websites. We set up Facebook ad campaigns. We manage Facebook ad campaigns. We set up Google ad campaigns. We manage Google ad campaigns. We do video production. We do graphic design. We do all these different things. We provide digital marketing strategy. We do, and those are kind of all the things that I want you to list and to write down. So go ahead. I'm just going to give you probably another 30 to 60 seconds to kind of do that. Another shout out for Andex, by the way. You guys can't see this, but this wall behind me is actually like Kermit the Frog skinned background. It's all green, you can't tell, but it's super cool. So they're doing some awesome things here. Okay, let's see, we'll call that good for now. Now that is not enough time. All right, I'm just gonna say that. I'm going to be sure to post this exercise in there, and as part of kind of your homework for this course, I want you to do that. If you've already gotten started, fantastic. Keep going. Keep going, please. Write the things that you are doing, the services, the products, the benefits that you guys are really, really offering. So if we go ahead and we talk about like the accountant, we'll use that as the example. My wife's an accountant, so I tend to like to tease accountants. So, but like, here's some of the things that they could have written down, right? And hopefully they wrote down a lot of other things. But yeah, they file taxes, right? I'm an accountant, I file taxes. I'm an accountant, I fill out paperwork. I'm an accountant, I understand tax law. I'm an accountant, I create tax strategy. I'm an accountant, I keep people out of jail, right? By making sure that they comply with tax law. I'm an accountant, I save you money, right? So here's all these things that they could have written down. So if you have your list, or when you have your list, which you will, so help me, you will have this list. I want you to like go and circle or highlight the ones that provide the most value to your clients, right? So if I look at these things, like which ones really provide the most value? Well, all these things are valuable. All the services are good, but which ones are the most valuable? And I think that we could probably say, you know, creating tax strategy to be able to help to help business owners, like be able to understand what deductions and what kind of things they can take, that is incredibly valuable. I keep people out of jail, also very valuable. They're not a criminal defense attorney, but it's kind of a prevention, right? That's fantastic. I save you money. Wow, these are incredible benefits, right? So like these are the things I want you to be finding is like what is really, really valuable that you guys are offering to these different people. Mistake number 2. Well, it's complicated, right? And when people say that, oh, it's kind of one of my pet peeves, right? What do? Oh, well, it's complicated. So we're doing this and we're kind of hoping to, you know, double our exhausting, right? If there's one thing that I know, it's that people get bored easily, their brains are trained to conserve energy, and when you tell me it's complicated, what you're really telling me is you're going to have to burn a lot of mental calories just to pay attention and not fall asleep through this conversation. That's not a great way to introduce yourself or your business, right? So don't let it be complicated. Like if it is complex, right, then what you do, then find ways to be able to simplify and clarify. And here's kind of a thought process that'll help you, right? So if you say that and you're talking to people, this is likely the look on their face, right? Super confused, like trying really hard to get through your sentences, like just challenging, right? So think of the caveman, right? Let's be really, really simplistic in who we are as humans. And obviously we're not cavemen, but if we can really like narrow what people want, it often comes down to, how can you help me survive and thrive? That's really what it comes down to. This is the kind of information that you need to be sharing with people when you're talking about yourself, when you're talking about your business, is how we as a company can help you and your company survive and thrive and do well, right? This is super basic, but really it comes down to this a lot of times. So, if we really can narrow it down to how we can do that, then yeah, caveman approved, right? They're liking what they're hearing. The message is simple, and we're getting down to how we really help, right? So here's kind of the formula that I often try to give. We've already done kind of this list, right? These different things these different services and these different products that we offer. So look again at that list perhaps and say, what do I do that provides value and helps people survive and thrive? What are those things that do that? What are the things that help accomplish those simple goals, right? So boom, there we go, right? Of all these things that are the most interesting, well, maybe we won't explicitly say we keep people out of jail, although I think that would be quite interesting. I honestly think people would pay a lot more attention if accountants introduce themselves as, hey, I'm an accountant, I try to keep you out of jail. That's pretty interesting. You have my attention. But maybe we want to be a little classier perhaps. So fantastic, right? These other twos that we have, create tax strategy and save money. Fantastic. How does that help us survive and thrive? Well, we're better off as a result if we are knowledgeable about tax, or if we have a solid tax strategy behind our companies. That helps us be able to save money. That helps us be able to invest more into our company. That helps us be able to pay our employees or ourselves more. That is helping me survive and thrive, right? So once we have that kind of narrowed down, what we do to help people survive and thrive, for who? Who is really our target audience? So think to yourself, and maybe once again, this is an exercise. I'll send it in the Facebook group to have you guys go do, is who do you think uses your products and service? Now this is interesting because I say think because sometimes there is a bit of a misconception. There is a bit of a misunderstanding, right? Of we think this product is going to be great for these people, but when in reality, it turns out a different audience is the one who are really adopting our services. For those who are Idaho Falls natives, you guys might remember a radio station called X94. It was one of my favorite radio stations when I was in probably late middle school to early high school. It was fantastic. I loved the music. So when they created this radio station, the audience that they were going after was people ages 25 to 34, kind of in that kind of range. What they found is, maybe they did okay with that audience, but the audience that was my age at that time, that was 15 or 14 to that age, were the ones who were really engaging and really listening to the radio station. So even though they created a product, they found that their audience was slightly different than who they had anticipated that it was. I've done this with a number of companies that I'll say, show me your product list, or show me your customer list, excuse me. Let's take a look. Let's actually nail down the demographic of who is engaging and using your products and services. And sometimes there is a discrepancy between who we think will use our products and who actually does. So if we can identify that, then that's fantastic. Here's another example. I guess who actually uses your products and services, right? That's an important thing to ask or to really try to find out. For example, this is my good friend, Christine Garner. She is currently doing kind of some coaching programs and stuff like that. But there was a while that she was doing these workshops to help people kind of identify and then live their purpose, was kind of what she was accomplishing and what she was trying to accomplish. Fantastic. By the way, I went to one of the workshops and really enjoyed it. But if you look at this website, this is a screenshot of her website, by the way. Who do we think maybe this website is for? Well, okay, it looks pretty clean, pretty well branded, looks good. Would you have thought, like looking at this, that this was originally a product that was for women? When Christine started these services and started these workshops, her main demographic was women. And so the website at that point, which I wish I had a screenshot, it was pink and gold and glitter and very, very feminine. It felt very, very feminine because that was the audience that she was going after. So then she offers this workshop, and guess who comes? The first people who sign up, myself, Jeremy Hicks at BBSI, a handful of other people, Bryce Belknap, who's actually part of this course. Like a lot of these entrepreneurial men were the ones who joined the course and really engaged with the content. And so Christine realized that there was a bit of a discrepancy between who she originally was targeting and who was adopting the services. So she changed. As you can tell, but looking at this website, I wouldn't say this is necessarily overtly feminine. There's nothing about it that wouldn't necessarily appeal to women, but it's definitely very different than when she started, and that's okay, right? If we realize that we have a better audience to go after, then fantastic. Let's cater to that audience. Let's speak those people's language, right? And if we really can dial in that audience of who is really our ideal or our actual target market, or our client list, or whatever you want to call it, then we can really cater our messaging and speaking to those people on an entirely different level. So really think about that. Think of who you think your ideal audience is, and then if you can, go find out who actually is your target market there, or the people who are using your services. So kind of going back kind of full circle to this. Hi, I'm Toby. I'm an accountant. Let's change that, right? Let's change that to, hi, I'm Harvey. We changed his name. I'm an accountant. I help business owners keep their own money by developing tax strategies tailored to their individual needs. Significantly better, right? Not only is it way more interesting, it's just very concise, right? I'm creating tax strategies tailored to help these businesses, to be able to help them keep their money, right? We've just really, really cleaned up and clarified this message. So, for some of the people in this course, okay, I'm just a realtor. I'm a judo coach. I don't know. That one's so cool. That one's hard to even say in a boring way. I'm a web designer for me, right? That's what I could say. I'm a web designer. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's super boring. But you know what we really do is incredible, right? For personal trainers, like, man, what you guys are doing, you're transforming lives. You're helping people feel more confident. You're helping them feel better about themselves, to become stronger, to become better versions of themselves. What an incredible opportunity to be able to help them be able to find something that's going to help them live longer, right? Personal training is fantastic. I think it's an incredible opportunity. Some of the other people that are in this group, right? I'm in creating incredible coffee, right? I'm finding ways to be able to help people improve the way that they start their days, because that's important. There's so many ways that we can go about this, but I'll let you guys be, kind of steer your own ships there and kind of identify the way that you would like to speak there. Here's an example. This is the company that I have spent a good portion of my career with, and this is a company that I really helped dial in their marketing messaging, and this is what we came up with. What do? They make law sexy with better marketing, right? So what this company did, their Nifty Marketing here in Idaho, is they help law firms, right? They help law firms by helping them have better digital marketing. We make them sexy, right? How does that fit into Survive and Thrive? Well, we're telling these law firms that we're going to help them be chosen. We're going to help them be interesting. We're going to help them be sexy to their target audience. That is a stronger message than saying, hi, we're Nifty. We make websites for law firms. Well, that may be true, but man, that is really, really a boring way to be able to say that. But Nifty has done two things, right? What do? How do I help you survive and thrive? And for who? Both of those things they've really, really dialed in. Here's my own. Volpine Marketing, we help the best businesses become the best known. Okay. I haven't hopped into how I do that necessarily, but that's significantly more interesting, right? I'm helping people understand what it is that we do. Help the best businesses become the best known. Yeah, unique value propositions. This is really kind of an important one. Here's kind of this Venn diagram here. We have, the weatherman kind of approach here. We have, what do you do really, really well? And what do your customers need and what do they care about? And then, of course, down here, there we go. What does your competition do really, really well? Well, what happens all too often is that I think that people spend way too much time here. They talk about the overlap of what they do and what their competitors do, right? So for my example, in my company, we make websites. Okay, well, yeah, people need that. That's good. Yeah, so that's kind of in that middle section there. That's something that the customer needs. It's something I do well, but it's also something that my competitor does well. So that doesn't necessarily set me apart. That's not really a unique value proposition. That's just a value proposition, right? If I was to go into like things that what I do really well and what my competitor does really, really well, it would be like law firms who, without fail, they almost all say, we have years of experience, right? That's like the quintessential tagline for attorneys is, we have years of experience doing blah, 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 blah. And while that may be true and while that might be great, that is something that really probably falls more into here, right? That's not really something unique to you. Other law firms have years of experience as well. So maybe we should find some other ways to really try to identify and differentiate ourselves. But we make websites. That's great. But we, at Volpine Marketing, we make the fastest loading WordPress websites in town. That is very much different than just we make websites. We make the fastest loading WordPress websites in town. There's a metric called Google PageSpeed Score that everyone kind of looks at and kind of gauges their websites off of. We have found ways to make WordPress websites the fastest, right? A unique value proposition. So, time for another exercise, and I hope that you're super excited, like this guy looks like he is. The exercise is, I want you to literally go and list as many of the things that you do well. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give 2 minutes again. I'll give you a little bit more of a heads up there, Haley. So go ahead and spend 2 minutes and please list as many of these things down that you can of things that you do well. And I hope there's a lot of them because I think you're awesome. Well, welcome back. I hope that was awesome. I hope Haley's Jams, I hope you enjoyed them, and they filled you with inspiration and love. So let's see. I'd actually love to open this up. Are there some people who would be willing to talk about like some of the things that they do well? Can we open that up for a discussion here? Just so you know, if you don't, you may be chosen. So, so if you're willing to share, I would absolutely love to hear what you think. Any volunteers, go ahead and unmute yourself and just say, hey, I'm here. Uh-oh.
Ryan,
Yeah.
I've kind of done this exercise before, so I kind of have a unique value proposition. Is that what you want us to go over, or what we do well? Because
Go
I kind
ahead.
of feel like it ties together.
Yeah, they do. I mean, that's kind of what we're trying to get to, is kind of that UVP, right? So if you've kind of gone through this exercise and you have those kind of things that you do well, I'd love to hear them.
Okay, so mine is just, hello, my name is Tanya Wall. I'm a dream home matchmaker. I help buyers and sellers find their next dream home through my hassle-free system and using my many years of experience in real estate to empower and educate my clients in making the best real estate decisions.
Mm-hmm. Very good. You know, I saw on one of Tanya's things that she talked about the dream home matchmaker. And that kind of line there was kind of interesting. You know, I could tell that she had kind of thought about this before. Let's see, Jana, I saw you unmute your mic there. Would you be willing to share with the class?
Yeah, I didn't want to leave you hanging. I was like, I better raise my hand.
Atta girl, I
So
appreciate it.
I just made a list of what I do well. So I make agility training fun. I show that you can train with no equipment. I teach judo moves how they really happen, as opposed to most people teach judo moves from a historical place. And I motivate people to move and improve.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's a really, really good list. I appreciate you taking the time to share that with us. Let's see here. I'd love at least 2 more volunteers if we have them. If you'd be willing to share with us, you know, kind of what you think it is that your company does really, really well. It doesn't have to be the penultimate UVP, you know, unique value proposition, but I'd love to just hear some of the things that you kind of feel your business and a lot of times yourself do really, really well. Let's see here. Lloyd, would you be willing to share with the class?
Hey, how did you know I was getting ready to hit the unmute button?
I saw it. I saw it.
You can feel it, huh? All right, Bill. First of all, we roast air roasted coffee. We're uncommon. Let me rephrase it. We air roast our coffee. We make a black cup of coffee taste incredible. It is the best thing that ever crossed your lips. We roast, we share our roasts, we create labels. We love our packaging. We have a squeeze and sniff. It's kind of unique. Remember the old days of the old scratch and sniff? That's where I kind of got that idea. I guess I'm telling you more than just the list of what I do well, but we put smiles on people's faces. That's what it's all about for us, is putting smiles and sharing our coffee with the world. So that's
Thank you,
that.
man. Appreciate it, Lloyd. Appreciate you being willing there. Let's see. Now, Maria, would you be willing to share with us?
I can. So I think I can definitely relate to why I'm taking this class. So one of the things that I do well is I can communicate efficiently in both languages, English and Spanish. I can easily approach people. I can earn people's trust. I am creative. I can relate and I can get information and I can connect with the right people. I don't know if that's close to what you were looking for.
Yeah, that is what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for what it is that Maria or the organization that you represent do well as far as these kind of things. And you know, part of this is advantageous because sure, it helps us to to identify kind of our unique value propositions that we have. But also, I think it's really valuable for us to kind of remember like what we do well. I really do think it's good to kind of to go back to that because I think so many people are so hard on themselves. And then, for our business, I think it's so easy to say, oh man, well, I wish we were doing better in X, Y, and Z. And while those things may be true, and I hope that you're doing everything that you can to improve as an organization and as an individual, sometimes it's incredibly valuable to just remember what we're doing really, really well. Let's see here. Haley, would you be willing to share with us, our esthetician? I'm so sorry. Zoe. Haley, you want to share it? No, I'm just kidding. Zoe, will you please share with us? I apologize.
Yeah. So I feel at Lash and Body, we are clean. We make people feel, or women feel confident in getting lashes or in their skin. We make sure our clients are comfortable and we care about our clients and we are inviting. I feel like that's what we're really good at at Lash and Body Lounge.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. We're going to go ahead and move on, but I really appreciate everyone who was willing to kind of share some of the things that they felt like they did well. So now, let's go ahead and go back to the presentation here. What we're going to do now is like circle the ones that are really unique to you. I hope there are things that you can find that are unique. And maybe if they're not necessarily, like, once again, going back to building websites, right? There's at least 20 people in Idaho Falls that can build you a website. At least, if not significantly more, right? So making a website may not be unique, but our approach of being able to build websites in kind of our kind of method that we have found to be able to make them load really, really quickly, that does make us unique. So I hope you'll spend a little bit of time and you'll kind of circle which ones that you guys think are the strongest ones, are going to be the best ones that people are going to find perhaps the most interesting. And if there aren't necessarily ones that are unique to you, I hope that you'll think about maybe how your approach in doing that same thing might be different, right? Go ahead and just spend just a little bit of time here, maybe just 15 more seconds or so, and then we'll go ahead and move on. Cool. And if you need help, if you're thinking about this and you're kind of struggling, I've seen people get kind of stuck in doing processes like these, and if that's you, if that's kind of where you're at this point, I hope you'll take the chance to maybe chat with people who are using your services, maybe chat with people who have used your products and get their opinions, because that really could be some valuable feedback directly from your customers about what they appreciate about the experience with your company. Because once again, just like who we think our target market is and who actually is our target market, sometimes there's a bit of a discrepancy between them, and maybe it's the same between what you think you do well and what your clients, what your customers, what your patients, whatever it is, what they appreciate about kind of the experience with your brand and with your company. Yep, so go ahead and circle the strongest. Ask you guys already do that one there. So kind of moving on. We've kind of done this, we've exercised, and I hope we do it more. I hope you're not done. I hope that this was just kind of a way to get kind of warmed up as far as kind of nailing your marketing message. I hope that you are able to kind of find these things that really are different and unique about your company, because I guarantee there are some. If you need help with this, once again, I hope you'll hop into the Facebook group. I hope you'll reach out to me personally, and we can sit down together and we can try to help you nail kind of that unique value proposition that I know that you have that you may just not be thinking of. So the next portion of this, and this is really important and really valuable, especially as we transition into the rest of this course, is we are going to be talking about getting online, right? This is an online marketing course, so this is fairly rudimentary for us to be able to continue on very much. But we need to be getting online. And so some of the things that we're going to be going through today is we're going to be going through and talking briefly about Google My Business. That's one of the most basic ways for people to be able to get onto Google and get their business in front of people. It's like, in my opinion, it is absolutely step one, right? I put it ahead of getting a website, although that is extremely valuable, and we're going to be talking about that as well. So getting online, Google My Business, number one. What is Google My Business? It's commonly referred by people like me as GMB. I don't know how commonly it is out there, but a lot of people just call it the Google listing. Some people just call it just Google. And some people don't know what it is, but this is what it is. Google My Business is Google's like free business platform for you to be able to share whatever information you want to with your potential clients. It's really comparable in a lot of ways to Yelp, right? That's probably the most comparable other platform that's out there. So the way that you access this is you go to business.google.com, and from there you can actually go in and you can either create or claim the account. But what does it do? Well, it helps you be able to provide information for your users, right? Your address, your business hours, your contact information, including your phone number, and then also kind of important links to your website if there's particular places that you want them to go. You can also use it as a way to be able to message, so people can actually message you directly using Google My Business. That's all really, really important. It also simplifies the business comparison process, right? So what Google was really trying to do was they found it was extremely difficult when people were looking for kind of a local service provider. So they're looking for a pest control company in their area. They're looking for a lawyer. They're looking for a dentist. They're looking for a restaurant in their area. Well, it was really, really difficult for a user to be able to do that, right? They would have to Google something to be able to find it. So like restaurants in Alameda, California, they'd have to look at all the websites and go to them individually and then be able to determine where they're located, what their menu was like, and stuff like that, right? So super hard. And then every website was different. So let's say if you were looking for an Idaho Falls pest control company, you did that. Then you have to go to every website. You'd have to go and find their contact information, but it's not standardized. It's all over the board. So some people have it up the top of their website. Some people only have it on the contact us page. Some people have it in the footer of their website. There's so many different ways. And so Google was really trying to streamline that process and make it just super easy for people. And now a lot of our consumer decisions are made using Google My Business. You can go in there and using Google My Business, you can get to know a business, right? You can actually see the faces of the attorneys that you could potentially be working with. You can read the reviews about how the pest control service was for these individuals. You can be able to just call them directly from your smartphone with a click of a button directly from Google, right? Really, really fantastic way to be able to simplify kind of this process, right? So you've interacted with Google My Business before, I guarantee it, right? But you may not have known what you were using was actually Google My Business. So this is what's called a knowledge graph. So if I search Tandoori Oven, Idaho Falls, this is generally what will pop up. It'll be something like this, right? It has the address, link to the website, the business name, some photos, all sorts of different information here that's helpful for me to be able to make that decision, right? Here's kind of what a comparison view might look like in the map section, right? So if you look up restaurant or Indian food, Idaho Falls, like here's all the ones that are listed, right? It's kind of funny we have Pachangas listed down there at the bottom. Guess we ran out of Indian restaurants here. And then also what's kind of interesting is we did have Indian food Idaho Falls. So Cardamom is located in Idaho Falls, whereas Tandoori Oven is actually in Ammon. They're both listed there, but because we searched Idaho Falls, it brought up Cardamom first, which is kind of an interesting and important thing that we'll be talking more about, kind of SEO and the way to be able to pop up in these sections of Google in the future. But what's interesting is like Google doesn't really treat a lot of these things much different than they don't really treat an attorney much different than they do a Mexican restaurant, which sounds odd, but it's really kind of the way that it works. And so the way that Google will often operate is they will try to give you the listings that are closest in proximity to wherever you're located, right? So if I just search, restaurants, it's going to provide me the ones closest to wherever it thinks that I am. Sometimes mobile data isn't fantastic, and sometimes they kind of get the location of where I'm located a little bit off, but Google is really trying to deliver the most local restaurants, local options, I should say. So for an attorney, for example, I keep using attorney because that's an industry that I worked in, really, really heavily for a long time. Like, they don't really treat that process any differently. It's like, oh, you need an attorney? Here's one right around the corner. Or, oh, you want Mexican food? You hungry? Yeah, we got one right around the corner, right? And that's kind of the same process here. But here's kind of the Google Maps section. You can kind of see how, like, this will show kind of like where they're located as far as like the pins, has all the different business information, and then of course kind of the overall star rating that you can click into and look a little bit more. All of this information is dictated and controlled using Google My Business. So that just shows you just how powerful of a tool that it really is, and we need to master this, right? So why does it matter? Well, Google My Business is how you're found, right? So if people are looking for you, they're looking for your brand, or they're looking for a pest control company, then they'll see these. You're found, and then you're compared, right? So here's one of my clients is a photographer in Burley, Idaho, and there she is. She has her reviews. She has the kind of this area that she serves, and of course links to kind of like her images and different things like that. So everything that someone would need for you to be found, to be considered, and to be chosen, right? When I was working, once again, in my last company, we had all these different attorneys from all over the United States and Canada, and what I found was 60 to 75% of their first-time callers were calling directly from Google My Business. So this is really, really important to get this nailed down, especially if you are somehow a company that provides services to kind of a local area. For companies who are, shipping products nationally, it may not be as advantageous, but why wouldn't you at least try to do well in your local market, right? Google My Business is kind of the process on how that happens. And how can I use Google My Business? Well, go claim it, right? So a lot of times back in the day, Google would kind of scrape information and then automatically generate a Google listing. This is still the case if there's like a lot of information showing that a business exists, and they're able to kind of scrape that information from Yelp or other like business listing platforms, right? But if you're a brand new business, chances are you have not created your listing yet. So go to business.google.com and go to Manage Now. You have to sign in, right? So you go ahead and you sign into whatever your Google account is. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Gmail account. You could have a Google account using a Hotmail email. Please don't do that. Please stop using AOL and Hotmail. After you've done that, after you kind of signed in here, then you can have the chance to look for your business to see if it already exists. If it does, then it'll pop up with something like this, right? Volpine Marketing. Okay, that already exists. Here's the listing. Is this the one that you're talking about? Or if it's not, then I can, of course, have the chance to be able to say no and create a business with this name, like it kind of shows here up on the screen. After you've done that, then a postcard will be sent to you. Google does offer sometimes for certain businesses different ways to be able to verify the listing. This is the most typically used one, especially in 2013 when I first got started in this kind of stuff. This is absolutely the way that was done. So they're just trying to verify that, one, you're at the location and you're at the location enough and have enough access to that property that you can actually receive mail. What they're trying to do is they're trying to prevent you from having Google listings all over the place, even though you don't necessarily operate at that location at all, right? So this postcard is going to be sent to you. It looks like a piece of junk mail. Be looking for it. Be diligent in kind of looking for that piece of mail. And it has like a 5 or 6 digit code on there that you need to enter into Google My Business to be able to verify that listing. Super important. Let's actually talk about this for another minute. A good example of something that you need to be considering is a really, really good example would actually be Tanyan. I hope you don't mind me using you as an example. So Tanyan is a realtor, right? Do people come to her office and chat with her? I'm sure that does happen. But oftentimes where she's interacting with clients, they find her, they call her, they know her from somewhere, and then they meet her at these different locations, right? So she doesn't really service a lot of people necessarily at her address. What's also an issue is Tanyan works at a location with a lot of other realtors, right? So you all would have to have your own individual Google My Business listing, but they're all at the same location. This creates an issue because Google says, oh my gosh, there's 14 realtors that work out of this office. I don't know to choose this one, right? And so that becomes kind of an issue because Google kind of randomly selects which ones get chosen, which ones get seen, and which ones don't. So my advice for people like Tanyan, who may be kind of like a contractor is kind of a poor word, but they may be kind of like an independent contractor of a larger company, is to have your own individual listing probably where you live. So that's probably where I'd recommend, because if someone is searching and they're nearby the office, who knows what Google listing is going to be brought up and be found. Whereas if you have one listed at your home, then at least you can dominate your neighborhood. Because once again, Google really considers pretty heavily the proximity of wherever that search is and the Google listings that are closer to that, right? So it could be a way to kind of get out a little bit ways. And then, I mean, maybe there are people who are looking for homes and they're searching from downtown, kind of near where your office is, but more than likely, they're out elsewhere. They're probably wherever they currently live, and they might be searching for a home there. That's where I'd try to be if I were you. All right, so that's just kind of an important note there. If you have any more questions about that, feel free to reach out to me in the Facebook group, and I'll kind of talk a little bit more about that. So what are some of the features that are there at your disposal? Well, from Google My Business here, you can see on that left-hand side there, you can see all these different things that you can be able to access. You can access insights as far as you can see how many people are searching for your business. You can see how many people are searching for kind of the general term for your business, right? So once again, I'll go back to the accountant. You know, people are looking for Joshua David Cundy CPA, or you can look at how many people are searching for accountants near me. And you can see how many times your business is brought up in those types of different searches, whether they're for your brand in particular, or whether they're someone who's kind of doing a discovery search and they're kind of looking for someone who fits that criteria. You can also be able to kind of share just brief updates and information about your business using posts. Here you can dictate all the information for your business name, the service that you render. You can say where your address is. You can have your business hours. All those different things you can control in there. These can be super important. So this is kind of the service area, and then also the primary business category. And what commonly happens is there's actually a business category in here called local business. That's literally what you can have as your business category. Well, that's so vague, right? So what Google is going to do is they're often going to give preferential treatment to businesses that have a more specific primary business category. So going back to law, apologize guys, I'm going to use that as an example a lot. So someone's looking for a divorce attorney, for example. Well, the ones that have their primary business category set as divorce attorney, Google is going to give preferential treatment to those because they're going to say, well, clearly like divorce law is like their focus, right? That's their emphasis. So this must be one of the better results for this particular one. Whereas a law firm that like has their main business category as law firm is going to get passed up in that opportunity, right? So it is important, whatever your primary service is, what you want to be found in, to have that as your primary category, or that top category here. As you can see here, this is my mother-in-law's Google listing, and counselor is the number one. That was kind of the term that we were trying to help her perform the best for. But she also does family counseling and marriage counseling and stuff like that too. It's a mental health clinic, essentially. So all those things are really, really important to take into consideration there. For me in particular, my primary business category is marketing agency, right? That's that's my core service offering. But other companies, they could say, well, we want to show up more competitively for web design. So we're going to have that as our primary business category. So there's a lot of ways that we can go about trying to do this and utilizing these to our advantage. And we're going to be talking about that more in probably our next class. We're going to be talking a little bit more in detail about how to perform in Google, how to show up in Google for these different keywords that you're wanting to. So stay tuned. That is next week. They're going to be talking about SEO, in particular local SEO, but both of them kind of go hand in hand a lot of times. Like I said before, you can look at the insights so you can see how many people are finding your listing on a monthly basis. You can actually look at the terms that they're using when they're looking or when they're like bringing up your Google listing. So this is my good friends at PickPT, Dr. Cordell Pickering. So his number one search was physical therapy. Well, fantastic. They're a physical therapist. That makes a lot of sense, right? PT was the number two search. Children's physical therapy. Connections physical therapy. So that's interesting because it's actually one of the competitors' brands, but it was still bringing up their listing. Dry needling, they're at number 10. That's one of the services that they offer. So kind of interesting information. I wouldn't say that it's perfect. In fact, I know quite frankly that it's not, but it can give you some helpful information there in the back end of Google. If you're hoping to get this set up, please reach out to me and I will walk you through the process of how to create the Google listing. Also, you can kind of see how many people are coming to your website. You can see how many people are requesting directions to your location and how many people are actually calling you directly from your Google listing. This information is obviously not perfect because the only way Google can track this information is if someone is literally on a smart device and they click to call. So the call used is generally quite skewed. And especially when people are looking for like a really, really big service or something like that, a lot of times they aren't necessarily using their mobile device to search. Sometimes they're doing that on a desktop and then typing that into their phone and calling. And we don't have any data to support that in Google My Business. You can also send a link to be able to get reviews, right? This is super important. Google does consider pretty heavily the content that's in your reviews. So this is an important part that you need to master, and we'll be talking about ways to do that. Because if you want to be chosen, you've got to be one of the best ones. And that's one thing that, my good friends, once again, Cordell Pickering over at PickPT, they have an office here in Idaho Falls and in Rexburg. That is one thing that they have nailed. They have done so well at their Rexburg office of being able to land and consistently get great reviews. So in their market, they have like 86 reviews or something like that. And then the closest competitor has like 20, right? So when people are looking at this, like they become kind of the obvious choice in their market. So reviews are absolutely huge. You can also kind of reply to them if you ever have negative reviews. This is your chance to kind of defend yourself. I had one happen not too long ago, not to myself, but to one of my clients. They had someone who just randomly left a 1-star review. So I replied to that review and said, hey, we don't have any record of working with you. And eventually that person took that down. Or if they weren't able to take that down, at least people can see that you are replying to your negative reviews when they happen on your Google listing. And sometimes that can be more important, especially if you can say, hey, we don't even know who this person is. We don't know why they left us a 1-star review. You can add your photos, right, of your staff, of your storefront, of your products, of whatever that you want clients to be able to see. This is your chance to do it. This is particularly advantageous for people who work in really, really visual industries like photographers. That's fantastic. My good friend Brandon Seeger that owns Seeger Built Sign Shop. They do truck wraps and things like that. This is a chance for them to really showcase what they're capable of and what they do. So they have a lot of images up on their Google listing for you to check out, and that's a pretty important part of the process for their business, right? It also keeps track of like how many views people are making on your different images. So if you look over here at some of these images, this is my family. This is my beautiful wife, and here are my boys right here in these ones. Oh, and the one all the way over there too. So I have beautiful kids. Not even ashamed of it. I'll totally say that. Also, you can kind of just have a chance to be able to speak a little bit more in depth about what you're doing, right? So marketing agency is what I have as my primary business category, but we do SEO, we do social media marketing, we do digital strategy, we do digital marketing. We do all these different kind of subcategories that aren't necessarily listed in there. So if you have like a really particular service that doesn't necessarily fit great or specifically within a particular type of category that Google has available, this is a good way to be able to do it, right? Graphic designer. Well, there's a lot of graphic design to be done. So what do? We do logo design, business card design, that kind of stuff, right? So Jess can kind of speak a little bit more in depth about the services that you offer. From Google My Business, you can actually also offer and create a website from their platform. Now, it's not amazing. You can kind of see this example that we have over here for Body, Mind, and Soul out of Burley, Idaho. It's really, really simple. It's pretty templated and stuff like that, and not necessarily a great option, but it is free, right? So if you're just getting started, it could be a fantastic way to go about it. All you need to do is upload all the information to Google My Business, and then this kind of auto generates it there if you ask it to do so. So it could be a really, really fantastic option, which kind of segues us into our next section. So Google My Business is obviously super important. I'm going to say for every business, but it's more valuable for ones that are working within kind of a local area, right? So if you are offering personal training in Idaho Falls, if you are a realtor, if you are, whatever, a marketing company, a pest control company, an attorney, a dentist, it's going to be more advantageous for you, but it's still important, all right? So the next part is website. We kind of talked about that, and I'm going to go over this super briefly because, man, you can get into the weeds when it comes to this particular topic. So I'm going to try to keep this super, super simple, and I'm going to be talking about some of the platform choices that you can have, and then if you guys are needing help getting a website up, if that's kind of the stage that you are in, like, I hope that you'll take advantage of the Facebook group, and I hope that you'll reach out to me personally and we can help you try to find ways to be able to get a website. Some of the things that you need to be taking into consideration is there's so many different platforms that are out there, right? So some of the questions that you need to be asking yourself as you're kind of going through this process of trying to figure out, like, well, where do I build my website? What do I build it on? How do I build a website? There are a lot of options out there for kind of DIY websites. They're really, really good, frankly. It used to be such a complex thing that it would be really, really difficult for a small business to be able to create a website without professional assistance, and that's just not the case anymore. There are some great options that are out there, and I'm going to be talking about those. One of the questions that you need to ask yourself is, does it need to sell products? Do you need to be able to sell products on your website? And, a lot of people will say, well, we do sell products, but we don't necessarily have to have the option to be able to sell them online. There was an example. I had a conversation not long ago with the owner of Reed's Dairy, and he said, like, he had the idea of making it so they could sell his products on the website, that people could literally order their products from the website. He had that idea years ago and didn't execute it until maybe a year or two ago. And it has had a dramatic impact on the way that they operate. They've been able to really, really substantially increase their revenue because they utilize the ability to be able to sell the products online. So that's not way important for everybody. For example, for my company, we don't necessarily sell products online. Maybe eventually we'll create some courses or something like that that people could buy, but it doesn't make sense for us. So the question, do you need to sell products on your website or not? If the answer is yes, then here are my top recommendations for platforms. And a platform is just like a place to be able to create the website, or it's a framework, it's a tool, it's a way to get started on creating that website. And for an e-commerce company, which this is what this is called, e-commerce, or the ability to sell products online, my top recommendations are WooCommerce, BigCommerce, and Shopify. BigCommerce and Shopify are really, really good because they've done a lot of things to kind of create it so you're pretty much good to go right out of the gate, which is fantastic. WooCommerce is a little bit more difficult. WooCommerce is built on a WordPress framework, and then it's kind of like added an add-on to be able to make it so a website can be able to sell products online. But if you have to choose one that's just like good to go, pretty out of the box without a lot of time and effort from you and learning a platform, I'd say BigCommerce or Shopify are probably the way to go. They put a lot of thought into the way their products are developed, and I own websites that and manage websites that are on both platforms. So, and also WooCommerce, frankly, but I can vouch for them personally. If you're looking for help getting one of those websites get set up, once again, hope you'll reach out to us and we can help get you started. If it doesn't need to sell products, then maybe these are some good examples or good opportunities for you. There's Squarespace, there's Weebly, there's WordPress, there's so many other platforms that are available out there for relatively inexpensive. So if that's kind of where your company's at and you want a website and you want it to not be very expensive, these all could be really, really good places to go. Now, WordPress, that's my number one. I love WordPress. I could talk about it for a long, long time about all the reasons that I like it, and I won't. I'll spare you guys that. But it is a fantastic platform because it has the flexibility to be everything that you need. It can be a super simple website, or it can be incredibly complex. If you need certain functionality, there's millions of developers who have already probably created a solution for whatever your problem is. I absolutely love it. Number two, I would say Squarespace is probably the next one that I'd recommend as far as kind of a website platform there. I believe Jana's website's built on it, and it's really not a bad way to go, especially if you don't have a lot of coding experience. It can be a fantastic way to kind of get up and get started relatively inexpensively and relatively easily. Also, Weebly, once again, that's kind of another one that's kind of a drag and drop kind of system. Really simple as long as you kind of stick within their kind of existing templates and infrastructure that they give for you. Could be a really, really good way to get started. So a question you might be having is like, oh, well, no Wix? Absolutely not. Never use Wix. I just want to get that out right now. I absolutely despise Wix. They have the worst customer support I've ever seen of a company that large. And I will not support that. That's something that's really, really important to me, is to have people who you can feel like have your back, and Wix is not one of those companies. And I'm okay if we send this directly to them. You can, Andex, can you make sure Wix sees this? Just want to make sure they know that. So these are some really, really good platforms to get started. If you have any questions, once again, I am here to try to be a resource to you guys to help you to get started there. So as you're kind of in the process of trying to figure out, once again, I hope you'll kind of ask these questions, right? Do I need to sell products online? And if not, kind of look at these different platforms that are available here for you. And that's kind of the homework that we have for you, is I want you guys to be out trying to figure out how to get a website set up. And if you need some time with me to be able to kind of help you get over kind of some barriers, or to kind of figure out the things that you need, then I'm happy to help you. There are some things to consider that you're going to need, and I'll be sure to try to provide these resources in the Facebook group, because you'll need to figure out domain. The domain is kind of the web address, right? So yourwebsite.com, vulpinemarketing.com, andex.us, right? That's the domain, the actual name, the web address that when people go to, it brings them to your information, right? There's a number of places that you can get that from. I use GoDaddy almost exclusively for my companies and my clients. I think it's a great service. So that's something you need to consider. The domain, the hosting, which is kind of an important aspect there that you also need to consider. Where are you going to get your web address, and where are you going to store the files that web address takes them to? That's what the hosting is. And there's a number of really, really good hosting companies that are out there. My number one recommendation for kind of like if you're just getting started, you want to keep kind of costs down, Bluehost is probably my number one recommendation as far as companies that can provide relatively inexpensive, good value hosting. So Bluehost with a WordPress website, that's probably my number one recommendation there, but you can also explore Squarespace and some of these other options as well. So once again, if you guys have any questions, you feel free to reach out. I do have just a little bit more time here. We have about 10 more minutes. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to open it up to discussion if that's okay. And I just want to answer any questions or comments or anything like that you guys might have at this point. I know there's bound to be more. Perfect. No questions at this point. Fantastic.
Ryan, you may need to share that QR code for the Facebook again.
Okay. Can you guys do that for me? It's a ways up there.
or maybe you can email it.
I'll do both. Yep.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and I'll share that up here on the screen if nobody has any questions. Oh, there it is. Found her. And we'll go ahead and share that. Let's see, can they see that? There you go. Yeah, so yep, there's the QR code for you to be able to hop into the Facebook group. You probably do need it to be approved. So I'll be sure to let you in there. If you just request access, we'll get you in. And then I'll be doing my best to provide resources as far as there's actually like really, really good guides on kind of how to build your first website. So I'll provide that for you. So it'll literally give you all the steps that you need to be able to get started if you want to use WordPress or if you want to hop in and use Shopify or Squarespace or any of the other platforms. Really, really good options there. So I'll try to provide you with those kind of resources as needed, as well as personal direction there. So let's go ahead and let's go back to the group if we can. Any
Brian?
questions at this point?
Yes. Does the Facebook group have a name?
Yeah. I don't remember
Would
it.
you?
I think it's like online marketing course spring 2021 or something like that. I don't know if you
Okay.
guys have it pulled up if that's what it is, but yeah, it's something of that nature there. You should see some images there. My face will be there, so you should be able to kind of recognize it.
Okay. Thank you.
Online marketing course is what the Andex team told me here. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. So yeah, and then once again, please ask any questions you guys might have. I'm here to do my best to be as good of a resource as possible to help you guys get up and running. I know a number of companies have really struggled during 2020, so I'm hoping to just do my best to be a good resource. So any questions? Tanyan, Lloyd, anybody? Angel? Okay. Oh, sorry, Lloyd.
I could. Oh, there it is. Never. Oh no, that's a different email. Can Frosty email us that link to your Facebook page?
Yep, I'll send it to Frosty, and then she can send it out there as well.
Perfect.
I'm friends with a number of you guys on Facebook. You guys can feel free to add me on Facebook there as well if you feel so inclined. I'm happy to be a resource there. So.
Perfect. I appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, Lloyd. Thank you for being with us there. Well, let's see. If there aren't any questions at this point, then, I don't think there's any need of keeping everybody here. But feel free to add them in the Facebook group there, and we'll kind of go from there. If you guys do have any feedback on the course, on the content of what we've been able to share so far, I hope you'll reach out to me and let me know. We're always looking for ways to be able to improve this and make this kind of the best that it can be. So we're all ears. Thank you guys so much for being here with us.
Okay.